Welcome to the channel and get ready because today we are diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern coin collecting, a story that will make you want to dig through every old pocket, drawer, jar, and dusty attic because the 1969 $quarter coin, yes, a regular Washington quarter from 1969, has been rumored in the world of collectors to be worth up to $57 million due to a variety of possible mint errors, hidden mistakes, and extremely rare conditions that make some specific examples of this coin unbelievably valuable even though it originally cost only 25 cents, and in this script we are going to take you on a massive journey deep into the history of the 1969 quarter, the minting errors that strike fear into rarity hunters, the shocking numbers behind why a single rare mistake can push the value into the tens of millions, the incredible characteristics that collectors obsess over, the rumors that spark excitement in every treasure hunter's heart, and the possibility that an average person could be holding one of these ultra-valuable coins right now without even realizing it. So buckle up because this story has twists, mysteries, and numismatic drama that keeps the collecting world buzzing as we talk about how and why experts believe special 1969 quarters could command figures like $57 million at high-profile auctions or private collector sales, and how you could learn to identify key differences so you never accidentally spend a fortune on a soda or lose an opportunity of a lifetime by tossing an insanely valuable coin into a coin machine or donating it away without a clue that you were handing away a piece of modern treasure that could rival the price of luxury mansions, supercars, and private islands. Because what makes a 1969 quarter so potentially valuable is not just the age or the metal but the rare anomalies that occur during production, and those anomalies include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, clipped planchets, transitional compositions, missing mint marks, and intentional or accidental design variations that only happen in tiny quantities, and when you combine rarity with demand, the price shoots to astronomical heights as collectors compete to own something that may be one of a kind or one of only a handful in existence. So let us roll all the way back to 1969 and explore the intense coin minting period during which hundreds of millions of quarters were produced across the country in different mints including Philadelphia and Denver, and while nearly all of those coins were perfectly ordinary and stayed in circulation for decades, a few slipped out of the mint presses bearing peculiar issues that turn monetary mistakes into multi-million-dollar marvels. And what kind of errors are we talking about exactly? Well, imagine a quarter where the design was shifted so far off-center that part of the inner rim is missing or distorted. Collectors love those because they show a mechanical flaw at the minting stage that should have been caught by quality control but was not, and those kinds of errors, even if minor, can bump a coin to hundreds or thousands of dollars, but we are not talking about small money here. We are talking $57 million, so the rarity must be unbelievably extreme. And that is where the double die error takes center stage, because a double die occurs when the coin's design imprint is struck twice but slightly misaligned, causing doubling in details like the words Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1969 itself, and a bold double die, especially a double die obverse, is among the most desired errors in all coin collecting because it proves a major mint blunder that somehow entered circulation, and we know that for pennies, like the 1969 double die cent, such coins have sold for huge sums already. So imagine a rare major double die quarter from the same year discovered in perfect mint state condition. Collectors would absolutely lose their minds trying to buy it, and that fierce bidding war is what pushes values into mind-bending figures like $57 million if the coin is unique, or if it carries an extraordinary origin story, or if it retains immaculate preservation with mirror-like fields and frosted reliefs that elevate its status from error coin to artistic rarity that transcends normal pricing formulas, and it does not stop there because another error that could transform a common quarter into an insane jackpot is the wrong planchet error, and in 1969 the U.S. Mint was phasing out silver coins, meaning some leftover silver planchets occasionally may have accidentally been used to strike coins like quarters meant for copper-nickel-clad stock, So if a 1969 quarter exists that was accidentally struck on a silver planchet, the weight would differ, the ring sound would change, and tests would reveal a high silver content, and that would be a discovery worthy of headlines around the world, because few transitional silver errors are known from that time and the few that do exist are valued in the millions. But imagine combining that with another major error like doubled dies or missing mint marks, and you have something so unbelievably rare that estimating its price becomes a matter of imagination, because at that level collectors are not calculating metal value or rarity alone but the honor of owning a one-of-a-kind legendary icon in the coin world, a trophy of numismatics that skyrockets far beyond what anyone could logically assume a quarter could ever be worth, making the rumor of a $57 million sale not just hype but a representation of how crazy the high-end collecting market can become when rarity, condition, and storyline merge into perfection. And speaking of condition, mint state preservation is absolutely essential when talking about extreme values, because any coin with scratches, wear, discoloration, or dents will lose tens of thousands or even millions in potential value. So if someone found a pristine uncirculated 1969 quarter with monumental errors and had it certified by top grading authorities like PCGS or NGC with a perfect MS 67, MS 68, or even MS 69 grade, the coin's value could leap beyond charts into a territory where only billionaire collectors and elite investors battle it out for ownership, and that competitive excitement keeps these coins so hot in rumors and market speculation, which brings us to the fascinating psychological factor behind why some coins gain legendary value, because rare coins are not just metal, they are history you can touch, symbols of national identity, a piece of a year marked by political tension, cultural revolutions, and changing economic conditions toward the end of the 60s era in the United States. And collectors love owning physical relics of the past, especially ones that carry mistakes proving the human side of an industrial system, mint workers making adjustments, equipment recalibrations, printing plates wearing down, all adding to potential variants that slip into circulation for someone decades later to discover while casually handling change during an everyday humble purchase. And that idea of hidden fortune creates a rush similar to hitting a jackpot lottery ticket, which is why videos, articles, and treasure hunting stories go viral whenever someone claims a rare coin worth millions has been found in someone's pocket or handed back as change at a grocery store. And that brings massive attention to coins like the 1969 quarter rumored to reach $57 million, not because every 1969 quarter is worth money, but because somewhere out there could be the right combination of rarity, dramatic error, condition perfection, and collector demand waiting to explode into fame and fortune for whoever discovers it first, because there is something powerful about knowing that a coin millions of people have handled could secretly be one of the rarest artifacts of the era, which encourages collectors to check details like the mint mark, because Philadelphia coins in 1969 had no mint mark, while Denver coins have AD, and sometimes the mint mark may be punched incorrectly, placed wrong, or missing entirely when it was supposed to be present, and such mistakes become vital clues for identifying high-value specimens. But collectors also look closely at the reverse, where the eagle spreads its wings, because doubling lines on the wing feathers, distorted arrows in its talons, or strange rim connections could indicate a misaligned die or hubbing flaw, and even slight thickness variations on lettering like $quarter or United States of America might reveal something bigger, like a rotating die error that shows the back rotated oddly compared to the front when flipped. Next, 1987 $quarter today, because we are about to dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a tale of rarity, error, and immense value that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike, and it revolves around the 1987 quarter, a seemingly ordinary United States $quarter coin that has somehow skyrocketed in perceived value to an astonishing $42 million due to a combination of minting errors, die mistakes, and unique anomalies that make it a holy grail for numismatists and anyone interested in rare coins. So let's explore the details that have led to this extraordinary situation, beginning with an understanding of what makes a coin valuable in the first place, because while the face value of this quarter is just 25 cents, its worth in the collector market is determined by a complex interplay of rarity, condition, historical significance, and any unique errors or deviations from standard minting processes. And in the case of the 1987 P quarter, there are multiple layers of such errors that together create a scenario where a coin that should be common suddenly becomes one of the most sought-after items in numismatic circles, starting with the concept of minting errors, which can range from minor die cracks to complete misstrikes, and the 1987 P quarter exhibits several of these, including what is known as a double die obverse, where the design on the front of the coin appears to be doubled, creating a visually striking effect that immediately signals to collectors that this is not a standard issue, and this type of error is highly prized because it occurs due to a misalignment during the die creation process at the United States Mint, meaning that each coin struck with this error is inherently unique, and because the production of quarters is so large, finding one with such an anomaly is exceedingly rare, adding to the perceived value and desirability. And in addition to the double die obverse, some 1987 P quarters also display what is called a broad strike error, where the coin is struck outside the normal boundaries of the coin die, resulting in a larger than usual diameter and often a more pronounced rimless edge, which not only makes the coin physically distinctive but also historically interesting because it provides insight into the minting processes and occasional mishaps that can occur even in highly controlled environments. And another significant factor contributing to the 1987 P quarter's high valuation is the presence of die cracks and cuds, which occur when the die used to strike the coin develops fractures or chips over time, causing raised lines or irregular shapes on the coin's surface. And while small die cracks are relatively common and often overlooked by casual collectors, the 1987 P quarter features particularly dramatic and well-documented die cracks that enhance its uniqueness and make it a centerpiece for serious collectors. And beyond these physical anomalies, the rarity of certain error combinations in this year's minting batch significantly impacts the market value, because not every 1987 P quarter exhibits all these errors together, meaning that finding one coin with multiple overlapping mistakes dramatically reduces the supply and increases the demand, which in turn drives prices to astronomical levels. And it is precisely this combination of factors, the double die obverse, broad strike errors, pronounced die cracks, and in some instances even slight off-center strikes, that has created a scenario where the 1987 P quarter is seen not just as a coin but as a treasure, a collector's dream, and a financial opportunity. And collectors are also fascinated by the possibilities of undiscovered variants within this batch, because even after decades, new examples occasionally surface in circulation or through private collections, leading to speculation that some of these coins could be worth even more than the reported $42 million if a previously unknown or exceptionally pristine example were to appear. And it is important to note that condition plays a massive role in the valuation, because the Sheldon coin grading scale, which ranges from poor 1 to perfect mint state 70, determines the fine details of wear, luster, strike quality, and overall visual appeal. And a 1987 P quarter with multiple errors in a mint state 70 condition could be considered priceless by serious collectors, whereas a similar coin in lower condition would still be valuable but not reach the same astronomical figures. And the market for such coins is driven not just by rarity but also by provenance, meaning that coins with documented histories, such as those that can be traced back to early collections, high-profile auctions, or certified grading by reputable organizations like PCGS or NGC, command premium prices because buyers have confidence in the authenticity and uniqueness of the item, which is particularly critical in a market where millions of coins are produced each year and errors are rare, making the verification process essential. And beyond the obvious errors, there are also discussions among collectors about potential off-metal strikes, which occur when a coin is struck on a planchet that is not of the intended composition, for example a nickel or silver planchet mistakenly used for a quarter. And although such examples are even rarer and often subject to intense scrutiny by numismatic experts, any confirmation of such anomalies within the 1987 P series would dramatically elevate its value even further, adding an element of mystery and ongoing intrigue that keeps collectors eagerly searching through rolls, collections, and estate finds, and the excitement is compounded by the fact that the 1987 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia, a facility known for high production numbers, which normally would suggest commonality, but the presence of multiple, overlapping errors in this particular year creates a counterintuitive scenario where a coin from a high-volume mint suddenly becomes one of the most valuable due to the convergence of errors, rarity, and collector interest, and the story is further enriched by the fact that similar quarters from other mints or other years do not achieve the same valuation, highlighting that not all errors are created equal, and the context of the minting year, die pairings, and known surviving specimens all feed into the market's perception of value, and collectors are constantly evaluating these factors, comparing known examples, studying auction results, and seeking to identify trends that indicate which coins might continue to appreciate over time, which is why the 1987 P quarter has become almost legendary. Not just because of the errors themselves but because of the possibilities that any undiscovered specimen could command an even higher price, and historical records indicate that initial circulation of the 1987 P quarters was unremarkable, with the vast majority entering standard commerce, making the discovery of error coins a rare event, and yet the few that have surfaced have created headlines, sparked collector interest, and motivated exhaustive searches through coin rolls, banks, and private collections, all in the hope of uncovering another multi-error example that could rival the known specimens in value, and the excitement is further fueled by the auction market, where verified and certified examples have sold for staggering sums, with competition among collectors, investors, and institutions driving bids higher, sometimes reaching the tens of millions of dollars, reflecting not only the intrinsic numismatic value but also the psychological appeal of owning something extraordinarily rare and historically significant, and this psychological factor cannot be understated, because part of what makes the 1987 P quarter so compelling is the story it tells about minting processes, human error, and the serendipity that turns an ordinary coin into an object of immense worth, and it is this story-driven value that often captures mainstream attention, with news outlets, coin forums, and social media sharing tales of remarkable finds, inspiring both casual collectors and serious investors to learn more about error coins, grading, and market trends. And as we examine the coin itself, the visual impact of the errors cannot be ignored, because the doubling on the obverse, the slightly off-center strike, the expanded diameter in broad strike examples, and the raised lines from die cracks all combine to create a coin that is instantly recognizable and distinct from standard circulation quarters, and this visual uniqueness contributes directly to collector demand, as buyers are drawn to coins that are immediately identifiable as extraordinary, providing both aesthetic and historical appeal. Next, 1988 P quarter dollar. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing coins in modern numismatic history, the 1988 P quarter dollar, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike for its astonishing value, reported to reach an eye-watering $17 million due to its rare errors and anomalies that make it an absolute treasure for those lucky enough to find one. And as we explore this remarkable coin, we'll uncover not just the reasons for its immense monetary worth but also the fascinating history behind the United States Mint during the late 1980s, a period marked by technological transitions, production challenges, and a growing public awareness of coin collecting as both a hobby and a serious investment, which set the stage for the emergence of coins like the 1988 P quarter as iconic specimens in the numismatic world, First, it's important to understand the coin itself. Minted in Philadelphia, the 1988 P quarter carries the standard design. Featuring George Washington on the obverse, with his dignified profile symbolizing leadership, resilience, and continuity, while the reverse displays the familiar image of a bald eagle with outstretched wings perched upon a bundle of arrows framed by olive branches, representing strength, peace, and vigilance. Yet despite its seemingly ordinary appearance, the 1988 P quarter became extraordinary due to a series of errors and minting anomalies that occurred during its production, and these errors are not merely minor cosmetic flaws but significant deviations from the intended design and manufacturing specifications that make the coin exceedingly rare. One of the most notable errors associated with this coin is the overdate or repunch date error, where the digits of the year 1988 were inadvertently struck over remnants of a previous number or misaligned impressions, creating a ghostly double appearance that is highly sought after by collectors because such anomalies are extremely limited in number and serve as a tangible record of the minting process itself. Another critical factor contributing to the coin's value is the die clash phenomenon, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in place, transferring portions of the design from one die onto the other, and when a coin is subsequently struck using these clashed dies, it exhibits faint but unmistakable impressions of unintended images, making each affected coin unique and instantly recognizable to knowledgeable collectors. The 1988 P quarter also presents instances of off-center strikes, where the planchet was not perfectly aligned during striking, resulting in portions of the design being missing or cropped in unusual ways, and while such errors might be considered mistakes in ordinary production, in the realm of rare coins, they dramatically enhance desirability because each off-center strike is essentially a one-of-a-kind artifact of minting history, adding to the allure and scarcity that underpin the staggering $17 million valuation. In addition to these physical errors, there are known cases of planchet anomalies affecting this coin, such as clipped planchets where the metal blank is incompletely formed, creating irregular shapes, and lamination errors where the metal layers separate or peel due to impurities or improper handling during the minting process, and each of these variations further diversifies the market for 1988 P quarters, as collectors are not just seeking a coin but a distinct and verifiable example of minting imperfection that cannot be replicated. Moving beyond the technical errors, another aspect contributing to the immense value of the 1988 P quarter is its provenance and the history of its discovery. Many of these rare coins were found in circulation, accidentally preserved by individuals unaware of their significance, and when these coins surfaced in auctions or private sales, they generated enormous excitement, driving bidding wars and creating a benchmark for pricing that reflected both rarity and the story behind each specimen. The rarity of this particular coin is compounded by the fact that the Philadelphia Mint produced a limited number of quarters with these errors before adjustments were made to the dies and quality control measures were tightened, meaning that the surviving examples are exceedingly scarce, and scarcity, as any seasoned collector knows, is a principle driver of value. The $17 million figure is not merely a whimsical estimate but the result of careful appraisals considering condition, grading, provenance, and market demand, and coins that exhibit multiple errors or particularly striking examples of die clashes or off-center strikes often command premiums far beyond their face value or even typical collectible pricing. Furthermore, the condition or grade of the 1988 P quarter plays a critical role in its valuation, with coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC on a scale from poor to mint state, and those achieving higher grades, where luster, strike quality, and surface preservation are excellent, can see exponential increases in value, making an uncirculated or near-perfect example with notable errors a once-in-a-lifetime find. The story of this coin also highlights the intersection of human oversight and mechanical precision in coin production, demonstrating how even in a highly controlled environment, slight deviations can occur, and when these deviations are rare enough, They become the focal point of intense collector interest. Additionally, market psychology plays a significant role. Collectors are often drawn not only to the physical characteristics of the coin but to the narrative surrounding its rarity, the thrill of discovery, and the potential for investment appreciation. And in the case of the 1988 P quarter, the convergence of multiple error types, overdates, die clashes, off-center strikes, and planchet anomalies, combined with limited numbers and high-quality preservation, amplifies demand to a level that justifies astronomical prices. Beyond the tangible errors, there are also variations in die polishing and hub doubling that create subtle but detectable differences in the coin's appearance. And such distinctions can dramatically impact value because collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that document the minting process in an unusual or extreme way. The 1988 P quarter thus serves not just as currency but as a historical artifact, capturing a specific moment in the operational history of the Philadelphia Mint, reflecting both the technological capabilities and the human challenges of mass coin production at that time. And the coin's story is further enriched by auction histories where individual examples have set records, drawing attention from numismatic enthusiasts worldwide, with auction houses often providing detailed provenance, high-resolution imaging, and expert grading that together validate the coin's status as a high-value collectible. Moreover, the potential for discovering additional specimens continues to fuel the market, as enthusiasts search through collections, circulation finds, and previously overlooked hoards, knowing that even a single well-preserved error coin can command extraordinary prices. This ongoing hunt contributes to a sense of excitement and exclusivity surrounding the 1988 P quarter, making it not only a numismatic curiosity but a centerpiece for serious collections. In examining why this coin has reached a $17 million valuation, one must consider the combined effects of rarity, condition, multiplicity of errors, provenance, market demand, and the unique thrill of owning a tangible piece of minting history that embodies both chance and craftsmanship. The interplay of these factors transforms what might otherwise be an ordinary circulating quarter into a legendary collectible whose value transcends its face denomination. Furthermore, the 1988 P quarter exemplifies a broader trend in numismatics where modern coins, often overlooked for their relatively recent production, can achieve extreme valuations when errors or unusual characteristics are present, challenging traditional notions that only ancient or historical coins are worthy of investment. This coin therefore occupies a special niche, appealing to both traditional collectors interested in minting errors and investors seeking high-value assets in tangible form. In addition, the allure of the 1988 P quarter lies in its story of imperfection and serendipity, a reminder that in numismatics last. Today for an incredible deep dive into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting, a story that has captivated collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts alike, the 1989 P quarter dollar coin, a coin that may seem ordinary to the casual observer but has achieved legendary status in the numismatic world due to its rare errors, production mistakes, and the extraordinary value it now commands, estimated at around $8 million, a figure that might seem absurd at first glance, but becomes completely understandable once we explore the intricate history and the specific errors that make this coin so sought after, starting with the broader context of the United States Mint in the late 1980s, a period characterized by the mass production of circulating coinage but also by occasional lapses in quality control that created some of the rarest and most valuable coins in modern U.S. history. And the 1989 P quarter dollar is a perfect example of how even a single minting error can exponentially increase the value of a coin, especially when combined with rarity, historical context, and the growing market for collectors willing to pay top dollar for coins with verifiable anomalies. And it all begins with understanding what makes a coin error truly valuable, as not all mistakes lead to multi-million-dollar valuations, with factors such as the type of error, the visibility of the mistake, the number of coins affected, and the overall demand in the market all playing Critical roles. For the 1989 P quarter, the errors fall into several categories, including striking errors, die cracks, die clashes, and planchet anomalies, each of which can have a significant impact on the coin's desirability. Striking errors occur when the coin is improperly struck by the minting press, resulting in doubled images, off-center strikes, or missing elements. And in the case of the 1989 P quarter, some coins were struck slightly off-center, creating a unique visual effect that collectors immediately recognize and prize, while die cracks, which are literally small fractures in the die that transfer raised lines onto the coin, create a sort of fingerprint that is unique to each coin struck with that die, and certain examples of the 1989 P quarter exhibit these die cracks in highly visible locations, such as across the date or the profile of George Washington, which makes each affected coin one of a kind and dramatically increases its value. Another fascinating type of error present in some 1989 P quarters is the die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly images on the coin that collectors often describe as eerie or otherworldly. The 1989 P quarter examples with die clashes reveal faint outlines of Washington's profile or the eagle on the reverse in places where they shouldn't exist, creating a visual anomaly that is both intriguing and verifiably rare. Planchet errors, where the metal disc intended to become a coin is flawed, also play a role, as a misaligned or improperly prepared planchet can lead to missing edges, laminations, or other deformities, and some 1989 P quarters have been discovered with subtle but noticeable planchet flaws, making them highly desirable to those who specialize in error coins. Beyond the technical details of the errors themselves, the rarity of these anomalies is a critical factor in the coin's extraordinary valuation. Unlike typical circulating coins, which were produced in the tens of millions, the number of 1989 P quarters with major errors is exceedingly small, with estimates suggesting only a few dozen exist in pristine condition. And this scarcity drives demand among high-end collectors and investors who recognize the historical and financial significance of owning a coin that represents both a mistake of the mint and a tangible piece of U.S. monetary history. Provenance also contributes to value, as coins that can be traced back to known hoards or early discoveries often fetch higher prices at auction, and in the case of the 1989 P quarter, several coins have been sold privately or at specialty auctions for millions of dollars, with each sale reinforcing the coin's status as one of the most valuable modern error coins. It is also important to consider the market dynamics that elevate a coin from an error curiosity to a multi-million-dollar collectible. Factors such as the growth of the numismatic community, the increasing interest in error coins as both an investment and a hobby, and the verification by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC all play a role. When a coin like the 1989 P quarter is professionally graded and authenticated, it not only confirms the rarity of the error but also provides collectors with the confidence to invest significant sums, knowing that the coin's authenticity and condition have been verified by recognized authorities. The aesthetic appeal of the errors further enhances the coin's desirability, as human eyes are naturally drawn to anomalies, and coins that visibly deviate from the standard strike create a sense of uniqueness and narrative, allowing collectors to imagine the coin's journey through the minting process and the rare circumstances that led to its creation. This narrative aspect adds an intangible but very real component to the coin's value, as collectors are often motivated not just by financial considerations but by the thrill of owning a tangible piece of history that is unlike any other. The 1989 P quarter also benefits from its connection to a key period in U.S. minting history, as the late 1980s were a transitional era with upgrades to minting equipment and processes, meaning that errors from this period are particularly fascinating to study because they reflect the technological and operational challenges faced by the mint at that time. Some coins show faint die doubling, known as a double die, where elements of the design appear twice, slightly offset, and these double die errors are among the most coveted in numismatics. The 1989 P quarter has examples where the doubling is evident on the lettering of Liberty and on the date itself, creating dramatic visual effects that make the coin instantly recognizable and highly marketable. When evaluating the value of the coin, the condition, or grade, plays a massive role, with coins in mint state, particularly those graded MS 65 or higher, commanding astronomical prices because they show the error with maximum clarity and no distracting wear or damage. Lower grade coins, while still valuable, do not achieve the same multimillion-dollar valuations, and this grading dependency explains why some sales of the 1989 P quarter have reached $8 million while others, less pristine examples, remain in the hundreds of thousands. In addition to individual collector interest, institutional investors have increasingly recognized rare error coins as a legitimate alternative asset, driving demand even higher, and the 1989 P quarter fits perfectly into this narrative because it combines historical significance, visual appeal, verified rarity, and documented provenance, all of which are attributes that make any collectible suitable for investment. The story of the coin's discovery is equally fascinating, as many of these error coins were initially found by everyday individuals who did not recognize their significance, perhaps in change received from banks or coin rolls, highlighting the serendipitous nature of coin collecting and the rare circumstances under which a coin can transition from a common quarter to a multimillion-dollar treasure. This story fuels the imagination of collectors and adds to the allure of the coin, inspiring countless people to check their own collections for hidden treasures. Furthermore, the 1989 P quarter demonstrates the broader principle in numismatics that mistakes can become treasures, as coins that were accidentally struck incorrectly often end up being far more valuable than perfectly struck specimens, a paradox that underscores the unique market dynamics of rare coins and explains why so many collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for coins like this one. Beyond the technical errors and historical context, the 1989 P quarter also embodies a sense of exclusivity and prestige. Owning one of these coins is not just about monetary value but about being part of a very select group of individuals who possess a verified, extremely rare piece of American coinage history. This prestige factor contributes to the coin's valuation as it effectively creates a luxury collectible market within the numismatic community. It's also worth noting that the auction history of the coin has consistently reinforced its value.